So we'll start the press conference. Gabby, welcome back to Montreal. How does it feel to be here, and how excited are you to play at home?
Yeah, it's as close as to home as it's gonna get for me, being from Ottawa. So I definitely, didn't mind the 2-hour drive today to get here. It was really easy, no traffic. I'm staying with friends, so yeah, I'm really excited.
If you have a question, please raise your hand, and we'll come with the microphones to you. Questions? Yep.
You were just honored in Ottawa with the keys and stuff. Have you ever thought in your wildest dreams that a tennis career could lead to, things like that completely off the court?
No, not at all. I think growing up, my parents taught me to always think of ways that you can give back, whether it's to your inner circle of people, to your wider community, to others, even more spread out globally. And so I think what's really cool about the honor with the Key to the City is that it's not just about tennis accomplishments, it's about things that I've cared about doing for many years that hopefully impact others in a positive way. So to be recognized for that was really amazing. And I think also being able to share the moment with so many close, friends and my parents and people from my medical team that were there as well. Like, it was just so special. But no, I could never have imagined something like that in my wildest dreams.
You won the title here. I think it was in the kind of bubble sort of
2021.
tournament. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I remember. I think you had was it your grandmother or someone who was sitting courtside when you won or something? You had in your box or in 2021.
My parents were there. They were sitting up in one of the suites, I think, or something. No, my grandma wasn't there. But I had friends that were sitting pretty close by.
Winning that was obviously a bit different, given that the tournament was kind of in that mini bubble type thing with limited fans and stuff. So
Yeah.
what do you remember about that? And obviously you've been back since, but to have this kind of back to normal, everything.
Oh, well, I mean, the moment was really special, I think, because some friends and my parents were able to make the finals. And it was cool to win the title, with one of my good friends, Luisa Stefani. I think, we'll both share that memory forever, which is really, really special. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that things are back to normal. I think we made the most of our downtime in the bubble, for sure. We found a lot of things to do and hang out with each other and try, binge watching shows for probably a little bit too long. So I'm glad that things are back to normal and we can explore the city and, eat out and enjoy, where we are and where we get to travel to, so.
Hi, Gabby. You're mentioning things getting back to normal, and I'm sorry if you're tired of talking about it, but it means something else for you, obviously. Having things being back to normal this season, how great is it for you to have a somewhat normal season as opposed to last year?
Well, actually, it's been tough because I broke my ribs before the French Open. So it's not really been, and I've been struggling with my ribs on and off since about mid-February. So it's actually not been a normal season. Again, Aaron and I missed playing Roland Garros again. I don't know, maybe it's just not in the cards for us to play that slam. I don't know, but yeah, it doesn't feel like it's been back to normal because injuring your ribs is like you can't do anything when you know that something's wrong with them because they hurt when you breathe. It's not like another injury where you can kind of work on other aspects, of your game or in the gym and whatnot. So it's actually been really tough, I've found, and I think also just a little bit the uncertainty of it, not knowing how quickly my ribs would heal. Not really knowing exactly how bad they were until they actually broke and I was in excruciating pain, which was in Strasbourg, and why I had to pull out of our semis there. So yeah, I'm honestly just keeping my fingers crossed that they continue to heal as they've been healing the last few weeks, and hopefully play a full rest of the season. Our goal as a team for Aaron and I is to qualify for Riyadh, the year-end finals again. So, yeah, it'll be difficult to do that if I can't play the amount of tournaments I want to play. And so, honestly, I'm just hoping that things stay a little calmer on the body front.
When in the back, in the back.
Hello again. What's been your relationship like with Jeannie Bouchard? And I know you've played with her at the Billie Jean Cup and stuff. So what's been that relationship like, and what do you think she has meant for Canadian tennis?
Well, at one point, she was really the leader for us in tennis. She was the one that I think had a big part in putting Canada on the map internationally in tennis, and I think she inspired a lot of the younger generation to play and to see what's possible, to achieve in the sport of tennis, having made the finals of Wimbledon. She made top 4 in the world, top 5? Like, that's incredible. And I mean, I personally have great memories playing doubles with her at Billie Jean King Cup. That was really fun. She's a good teammate. She was always that type of player that could just show up, even if, she'd been injured and away from the game for a long time. I feel like whenever she was called upon to play and took that responsibility, she was there 100%. And so as a teammate, I always, looked up to that, and I always admired her tenacity in the sport. And I think, for many years, it was probably difficult because of the amount of attention that she received so quickly. So that's not an easy thing to deal with in sports when people are really trying to focus on things other than the sport. And granted, I think, because of that, she also now has so many amazing opportunities outside of tennis too. So, it's a double-edged sword, getting that attention, but then also having to deal with it. And, I've always, admired her work ethic in the sport. I think a lot of people don't talk about that enough. They just see a lot of things that she does off the court, and they would automatically assume that she wasn't taking her tennis seriously, but that was never the impression that I got and what I saw being at the same tournaments as her and playing on the same team as her. So, yeah, I think she's had an incredible career, and honestly, I wish her all the best and all the happiness and health in the world, and excited to see what's next for her.
Hi, Gabby. Just I was curious to have your perspective on the new format here in Montreal. Over 12 days, just what kind of impact does it have on the double schedule also? And do you like having all this downtime, or would you rather play a little bit more often?
Yeah, the 2-week, 10-day tournaments are definitely tougher for doubles players. But we've also gotten feedback from singles players that it's not necessarily the easiest thing. I think with the circuit structure changes and the goal to have equal prize money across the board by 2030, and then tournaments are more valuable as 2-week events or 10-day events than 1-week events. There are obviously a lot of benefits, I guess, over time on the financial front. But it doesn't necessarily do anything to help us have a real break. Our off season is very, very short, and I don't necessarily think that 2-week or 10-day events help us, but it's very early on. I think we'll only be able to assess the impact that it has physically and mentally for players and financially for players and tournaments over the next few years and see how it goes. But I hope for the best for everyone, but it's just a little bit too early to assess it, I think, more, concretely.
Yeah, we'll do last question, gentleman in the red.
Of new formats, there's been a lot of talk, obviously, about the U.S. Open and the mixed doubles, how they're kind of going about it. Obviously, as someone who's won mixed doubles titles, seeing them kind of go to this 2-day format before the event with a lot of major single stars instead, I imagine that must be difficult for you to kind of to comprehend or deal with kind of as you start your summer hardcourt swing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think doubles players in general, especially those that focus predominantly on doubles, are already a little bit marginalized in the sport, and there's not a whole lot of exposure and attention. So to remove a source of income for them in the mixed doubles draw is a shame. I think another tricky part is just the general sense of maybe not yet having a true partnership with the slams when it comes to governance and these types of decisions that impact such a wide player group. Obviously, it'll be a great event for those top singles players, you know, lots of prize money to win, something probably really fun. But, you know, 8 teams for singles ranking and then 8 wild cards, that's not really a true draw in the sport of tennis. That's more of an exhibition. And I think there's nothing wrong with having an exhibition or an invitational, you know, like Indian Wells is doing the tie-break 10s. It's really fun to watch. Although I would love to see more higher ranked doubles players in that event too, just to be able to demonstrate the contrast between playing styles and display a different dynamic and mastery of craft to fans. But yeah, it's definitely been disappointing to say the least. Obviously, I would love to play. I've entered with Felix, but at the same time, our entry will be at the discretion of the event if we get in or not. So, yeah, we'll see. Do I think it's a true mixed doubles championship? No. Do I think it could help the sport of doubles in the end? It could, but not if you can't have any doubles players play in it. So, we'll see.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.